all the way from Los Angeles. Give it up for Gene Whitney, everybody.
How's it going? I came up here from Los Angeles today. It's nice to be out of Los Angeles. Sometimes that place can be a hellhole. Sometimes, a lot of times. Like, everybody's very obsessed with celebrities there. They worship celebrities, and they love to tell you what celebrity they think you look like. And I just recently found out that I apparently look like Jude Law, who is a man. Somebody came up to me once, and they're like, has anyone ever told you that you look unremarkably like Jude Law? And I was like, sometimes I think weird shit too. I just don't say it to that person's face. My name's Jean. I kind of have an old name. My mom wanted to name me Joan, but she said, your grandfather had an affair with a woman named Joan, so in order not to insult my mother, I gave you the French spelling, which is Jean. I'm like, oh, that's so clever, Mom. Or maybe you could have just not named me after somebody that Grandpa fucked. There were other options. My parents are a lot older. My dad is currently 88 years old, which is gross. When my parents had me accidentally, my dad was 59 and my mom was 39. So basically my whole existence is slightly inappropriate. And I knew it growing up because people would come up to me and they would be like, your dad had you when he was how old? He must have been going strong. I'd be like, yeah, I don't know what that means, I'm 5. My dad doesn't really know that he's older, though. Like, I feel like men just think that they are hot forever. My dad still thinks he's got it. He's like, oh, I'm getting old, Jane. I'm like, you are there, Dad. It has become you now. But last time I was home, I was riding with him in his car, and he kept, like, looking over and nudging me and going, oh. And I was like, what's going on? He's like, oh, people are going to look at us, and they're going to say, that dirty old man. Because they're going to think that you're my girlfriend. I was like, no, Dad, people are going to think that you're my grandpa. He's pretty lucid, but sometimes he can get me confused from my sister Becky, which can be interesting because then he'll start talking to me about me without knowing that it's me. Oh, Becky. Jean is screwing her life up in California. But she called me today and she said she got a speeding ticket. And I said, oh, son of a bitch, are you out there doing pornography too? I'm like, that sounds pretty serious, Dad. Maybe you should send her some money. Someone came up to me once after a show and they're like, oh, you should talk more about your dad. Like, you should write more about him. And I was like, yeah, I'm just, like, a little nervous that if I talk too much about my dad, people will think I have daddy issues. And he was like, huh, you do. And I was thinking about, you hear so many people talk about women with daddy issues. But nobody ever talks about men with mommy issues. And it's unfair because they are out there and they are worse. Like a woman with daddy issues is typically insecure and promiscuous, but a man with mommy issues is a serial killer. He will drown you and then tell people he was sleepwalking. So I hear, I don't know, it's hasn't happened to me yet. I thought about going home for the summer to visit my dad, and then I called him, and I kind of changed my mind. He gets anxious, and then he wants everybody else around him to be anxious. And when I called him, the first thing he said was, Jane, we have to talk. I was like, oh God, my heart sank. He's like, I really think that maybe this comedy thing isn't working out and you should come back home and go to school to be a nurse. I was like you're a nurse? Or when I expressed a desire to be a nurse. He's like, well, there's all these women out in Los Angeles, they've got stars in their eyes and they're all trying to make it through stand-up comedy. I'm like, well, actually, Dad, there aren't a lot of women in LA doing stand-up. Well, then they're doing other stuff. I was like, what does that have to do with me? Well, Gene, I just think you're a little delusional. It's like, well, then I fit in with everybody there. It's like, well, I see all these women on Jay Leno, and you see them once, and then you never see them again because Hollywood is dying. I was like, Dad, Jay Leno's not on the air anymore. I think you're dying. And I love you, but if you don't believe in me, that's okay. I don't need you to believe in me. Oh, I do believe in you, Gene. I think you are the bravest person I have ever known, and that you should give up and come home. So I'm not going to go home for the summer. I have a lot of belief in myself. That didn't sound very believable. I love to sing, and I take lessons because I always feel like I'm not good enough, and then at the same time I'm falsely modest. Like this one time I was at church, and the lady next to me turned to me after a song, and she was like, "You have a really beautiful voice," and I was like, "Oh, thank you." And then we sang another song, and afterwards the lady on my right turned to me and she was like, "You have a really beautiful voice." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." And then after Mass is done, the man in front of me turned to me and he said, "You have a really beautiful voice." And I was like, "Thank you." I just wanted you all to know how talented I am. It's nice to hear nice things at church because I work as a server as well as Chip does, and sometimes people are real assholes. Like, I just want to give up. So I just want to throw my tray and be like, "Fuck it, I'm leaving." And then I realized I just walked in the door, so that hasn't even happened yet. But this one time I was at work, and this lady came up to me, and the way she approached me, she was so nice and friendly that I thought she was going to say something kind. She's like, "Excuse me, can I talk to you for a second? Just 1 second." Oh no. I was like, "Yeah, what's going on?" She was like, "I just wanted you to know that when you were waiting on my boyfriend and me, you were being a little flirty, and that's just something for you to be aware of." I was like, "I don't remember you." She was like, "Well, it's just something for you to be aware of." I was like, "I think you're mistaken, ma'am." And she's like, "It's just something for you to be aware of." And then she walked out. And then my manager came up to me and he was like, "What did that lady just say to you?" And I was like, "Well, she accused me of flirting with her boyfriend." And he said, "Huh, no." And he walked away. I was like, okay, now I'm doubly offended. But then I was thinking about it, what would it matter if I were flirting with a boyfriend? If I were out to dinner with a guy and the waitress were being flirty, I would be like, "Aw, that's kind of sad." But I wouldn't then go up to her and be like, "Excuse me, I just wanted you to know that I am an erotic, insecure cunt who is desperately afraid that everyone I love is going to leave me, and that's just something for you to be aware of." Well, thank you. You've all been so great. My name is Gene Whitney.
For Gene Whitney, everybody.